On a quiet Saturday morning, June 21st, 2025, in the suburban neighborhood of Willow Creek Estates in Loudoun County, Virginia, Sheriff Amanda Renee Carter pulled into her driveway after a long shift. At 38, Amanda was the first female sheriff in the county's history, elected in 2023 after a 15-year career in law enforcement. Her unmarked black SUV, a county-issued vehicle, was nondescript, lacking the decals or lights that marked her official patrol units. She parked it neatly in her driveway, next to her husband's pickup truck, and stepped out, still in her civilian clothes, a navy polo and khakis, her badge and service weapon secured in a lockbox inside the vehicle. She was tired, her mind on a shower and the coffee her husband, Mark, had promised to have ready. Willow Creek Estates was a tightly knit community of manicured lawns, two-story homes, and strict homeowners association rules. Amanda and Mark had moved there 2 years earlier, drawn by the good schools for their two kids, ages 8 and 10. But the HOA, led by its president, Linda Marie Thompson, was a constant source of friction. Linda, a 52-year-old retired real estate agent, ruled the neighborhood with an iron grip, her clipboard always at the ready, her emails filled with reminders about grass height, trash can placement, and parking regulations. To Linda, the HOA covenants were sacred, and she saw herself as their enforcer. That morning, Linda was on her usual patrol, driving her golf cart through the neighborhood, her eyes scanning for violations. She spotted Amanda's SUV, parked slightly off-center in the driveway, one tire touching the edge of the grass. To Linda, this was an affront to the community's standards. The HOA rules, which she had helped rewrite, stated that vehicles must be parked entirely on paved surfaces, with no part touching grass or landscaping. Amanda's SUV, though in her own driveway, was technically in violation. Linda stopped her golf cart, grabbed her clipboard, and marched toward the Carter residence. Amanda was just reaching the front door when Linda's voice cut through the morning air. "Excuse me, you can't park like that." Amanda turned, her expression calm but curious. She'd dealt with Linda before, over a basketball hoop that was half an inch too high, a mailbox that needed repainting, and a Halloween decoration deemed too garish. She took a deep breath, preparing for another lecture. "Morning, Linda," she said. "What's the problem?" Linda pointed at the SUV, her face flushed with indignation. "Your vehicle is on the grass. That's a violation of Section 4.2, Paragraph 3 of the HOA covenants. You need to move it now, or I'll issue a fine." Amanda glanced at her SUV. The tire was barely grazing the grass, a matter of inches. She sighed, her patience thin after a 12-hour shift. "Linda, it's my driveway. I'll move it later. I just got home." "That's not how this works," Linda snapped, scribbling on her clipboard. "Rules apply to everyone. I'm writing you up, and if it's not moved in 10 minutes, I'm calling a tow truck." Amanda raised an eyebrow. "You're going to tow my car from my own driveway?" Linda straightened, her voice rising. "I have the authority to enforce these rules. If you don't comply, I can escalate this. Don't make me take further action." Amanda's husband, Mark, a high school history teacher, opened the front door, drawn by the commotion. "Everything okay, Amanda?" he asked, stepping onto the porch. "It's fine, Mark," Amanda said, her tone even. "Linda's just reminding me about the HOA rules." Linda turned her glare on Mark. "You should both know better. This is a community, not a free-for-all. I'm doing my job to keep this neighborhood respectable." Mark, who had little patience for Linda's crusades, crossed his arms. "It's our driveway, Linda. We're not blocking anyone. Let it go." But Linda was undeterred. She pulled out her phone, her fingers hovering over the screen. "I'm calling the police," she said. "This is willful noncompliance, and I have the right to perform a citizen's arrest if you refuse to follow the rules." Amanda's eyes narrowed. "A citizen's arrest? For parking in my own driveway?" "Yes," Linda said, her voice triumphant. "Virginia law allows it for a breach of the peace. Your refusal to comply is disrupting the community. I've had enough of your disregard for our standards." Mark stifled a laugh, but Amanda's expression remained calm. She stepped closer to Linda, her voice low but firm. Linda, I'm going to ask you to leave my property now. You're not arresting anyone. Linda, emboldened by her sense of authority, didn't back down. You don't get to tell me what to do, she said. I'm the HOA president. I'm placing you under citizen's arrest for violating community regulations and causing a disturbance. At that moment, a neighbor, Tom Reynolds, a retired mechanic who lived across the street, stepped out of his house. He'd been watching from his window, drawn by Linda's raised voice. Linda, what's going on? He called, walking over. This is getting out of hand. She's breaking the rules, Linda said, pointing at Amanda. And now she's refusing to comply. I'm within my rights to detain her until the police arrive. Amanda's lips twitched, a hint of amusement breaking through her composure. Linda, she said, you might want to rethink this. I'm the county sheriff. Linda froze, her phone still in her hand. What? She said, her voice faltering. I'm Sheriff Amanda Carter. Amanda repeated, her tone matter-of-fact. Elected in 2023. That SUV is county-issued, and I'm parked in my own driveway. You're not arresting me, and you're not calling a tow truck. You're going to walk away. Linda's face reddened, but she doubled down. I don't care who you are, she said, though her voice lacked its earlier conviction. Rules are rules. You don't get special treatment. Tom, now standing nearby, shook his head. Linda, you're picking a fight with the sheriff? Come on, let's be reasonable. Linda ignored him, dialing 911. I'd like to report a disturbance, she said into the phone. A resident is refusing to comply with HOA regulations and is causing a scene. I need an officer to assist with a citizen's arrest. Amanda exchanged a glance with Mark, who was now openly grinning. She pulled out her own phone and called the sheriff's office dispatch. Hey, Lisa, she said. It's Amanda. I've got a situation at my house. HOA president is trying to arrest me for parking in my driveway. Send a deputy over to clear this up, please. Within 10 minutes, a sheriff's cruiser pulled into Willow Creek Estates. Deputy Kevin Martinez, a 10-year veteran of the department, stepped out, his expression a mix of confusion and amusement. He knew Amanda well, she was his boss. Sheriff, he said, nodding to her. What's going on? Linda, still clutching her clipboard, launched into her complaint. This woman is violating HOA rules by parking her vehicle on the grass. I informed her of the violation, and she refused to comply. I'm performing a citizen's arrest for breach of the peace. Martinez raised an eyebrow, glancing at Amanda, who stood with her arms crossed, her expression neutral. Ma'am, he said to Linda, you're trying to arrest Sheriff Carter? In her own driveway. Linda blinked, the reality of the situation sinking in. She didn't say she was the sheriff, she stammered. I did, Amanda said calmly. You didn't listen. Martinez turned to Linda, his tone professional but firm. Ma'am, a citizen's arrest is for serious crimes, not parking disputes. And you're on private property, her property. You need to step back. Linda's face flushed deeper, her hands trembling as she gripped her clipboard. But the HOA rules don't supersede the law, Martinez interrupted. Sheriff Carter hasn't done anything wrong. You, on the other hand, could be cited for harassment if she presses the issue. Amanda waved a hand. I'm not pressing anything, she said. I just want to go inside and have my coffee. Linda, now visibly shaken, tried to salvage her authority. This isn't over, she said. I'll be bringing this to the HOA board. You do that, Amanda said. But you might want to check the bylaws first. They don't give you the power to arrest anyone. Martinez escorted Linda back to her golf cart, advising her to avoid further escalation. Tom, the neighbor, stayed behind, shaking his head. She's been on a power trip since she got elected president, he said to Amanda. Sorry you had to deal with that. It's fine, Amanda said. I've handled worse. Word of the confrontation spread quickly through Willow Creek Estates. By evening, neighbors were texting about the time Linda tried to arrest the sheriff. Some found it hilarious, others were appalled. At the next HOA meeting, Linda faced a barrage of questions about her actions. Several residents, including Tom, called for her to step down, citing her overreach. Linda defended herself, insisting she was protecting the community, but her credibility was damaged. Amanda, meanwhile, continued her work as sheriff, overseeing a department of 200 deputies and managing everything from traffic enforcement to major crime investigations. She didn't hold a grudge against Linda, but she made a point to park her SUV perfectly within the lines of her driveway from then on, if only to avoid another confrontation. The incident became a local legend, shared at barbecues and community events. It was a reminder that authority isn't just a title or a clipboard, it's earned through service and respect. Linda, humbled by the experience, eventually resigned from the HOA board, and Amanda's reputation as a no-nonsense sheriff only grew stronger. In Willow Creek Estates, the story of the HOA president who tried to arrest the sheriff became a lesson in knowing who you're dealing with before you pick a fight.